So I just wanted to discuss a homework problem, E24A28. It's also in your book and similar to one of the homework problems in Pearson. So I want to go over the steps for that. So in this problem, we have Mountain View Services having unadjusted balances at December 31st, 2008. So first, you have the balances for certain accounts here, salaries payable and salaries expense. So the first journal entry will cover accrued salaries expense at $8,000, December 31st. That'll be a debit in salaries expense of $8,000 and a credit for salaries payable. The previous salaries expense balance is $1,900, and with the previous transaction, we had $8,000 for salaries expense. So since we have to close the account for salaries expense, that amount will be $9,900. The sum of $8,000 and $1,900. So that'll be a debit in income summary and a credit in salaries expense. Oh, to go back for the first entry, you have to find your explanations. I'm accruing salary expenses here. Also, if I go down here, I'm closing salaries expense. For January 4th, we're paying salaries in the amount of $8,500. Also, $500 for the first few days of January. That's going to be broken up into two. For the debit side, my debits will be salaries payable and salaries expense for the debit side with an amount of $8,500 and a credit of cash. Since I'm paying my salaries in cash, deduction of cash, the amount of $8,500 to cover the total amount in my debit side for two accounts. So now I will go to my T account. We started with a 0, as you can see here. That was my unadjusted balance. I had an adjusting entry of $8,000. $8,000 is my adjusted balance. I then went to January 4th. A debit of $8,000. Close my account. Now I'm left with a 0 balance. As for salaries expense, at an unadjusted balance of $1,900, as you see at the top here. My adjusted entry is $8,000 on the debit side, as you saw in the first journal entry. My adjusted balance, therefore, is $9,900 on the debit side. I made a close of $9,900, as you saw with the journal entry. I end up with a balance of 0. But then I had a transaction on January 4th of $500, as you saw in our last journal entry. And I'm left with a balance of $500 on the debit side. It's on to requirement 1 and 3. It's all pretty much the same. Accruing salaries, reversing accrued salaries and whatnot. So I'll continue with that. December 31st, I'm accruing salaries once again. Once again, be a debit in salaries expense and a credit in salaries payable for $8,000. My explanation here is to once again close the salaries expense. As for this account, I'm reversing the accrued salaries since I'm in journal requirement 3, as you saw in requirement 3. In requirement 3, I need to journalize the assuming entries using reversing entries. So if I go back here to reverse the entries, I will debit the salaries payable for $8,000 and credit salaries expense for $8,000. That'll be for January 1st. So requirement 1 and 3, salary expense 8,000. I'm sorry. So this was the entry for January 1st. The entry for December 31st is an income summary, amount of 9,900, closing my salaries expense, and a debit and a credit in salaries expense for 9,900. As for the January 1st, I'll go back to that. Salaries payable. Oh, the explanation for this one is to close my salaries expense. Let me see. For January 1st, it's a salaries payable debit and the salary expense for credit, an amount of $8,000. As you see in this journal entry, we're reversing my accrued salaries from the first journal entry. January 4th, I'm paying my salaries once again. Go down here. Salary expense is a debit. I'm paying with cash. That's a credit. Losing cash, spending money on salaries in the amount of $8,500. Explanation here is record payment of salaries. Go down here. As you can see, these are the similar transactions, just a different approach that you need to look at. So record the payment of salaries. So now I'm down here for my T accounts. In this case, for requirement 1 and 3, unadjusted balance of 0. Start with that. I make an adjustment of 8,000. I carry over the 8,000 adjusted balance. I go here. I have a transaction on January 1st, $8,000 on my debit side. Close my salaries payable account. End up with a balance of 0. As for my T account here, I start with a unadjusted balance of 1,900. Make an adjustment of 8,000. I'm left with an adjusted balance of 9,900. And I make a closing entry, close the account, 9,900. Also, I need to account for the new balance, which is 0. And then I have a new transaction on January 1st to look over. That is 8,500. January 1st, I have another transaction on the credit side to look at, 8,000, and I'm left with a balance of 500. So I think after all the Journal entries are made. The balances are the same, as you can see, based on the different requirements of requirements 1 and 3. Okay, so there's a little differences here and there, but as you can see, here are the answers that you need to look out for. Stay tuned for more videos on other homework problems or problems similar to homework to look over. Also stay tuned for more information on exam, and thank you for watching.